And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Planet Mullins podcast. Rob Mullins here, your host. We're in season 6 now. Today I have a brilliant guitar virtuoso who is doing unbelievable things, and he's coming all the way from England to chat with everybody today. Say hello to Adam Palma. Hi, Adam.
Hello, Rob. Hello, everyone.
Oh my God, you can play. We say the American term is he's playing his butt off. I watched one of your videos of you playing Chopan, and I was like, this is better than Al Di Meola. How did you get the idea to play this classical stuff but jazz it up and do all this totally new style of music? Tell us about that.
Of course, I picked up a lot of things from him. I'm aware of that. And but of course, I studied classical music. I studied jazz. So everything that I play on the guitar now, it's a blend of everything that I've learned in my life. Without that experience, without studying classical music or jazz, it would have been possible.
I really like when people that are just amazing come on and they say, study jazz music, because, you know, jazz to me, I agree with you. It's the foundation. Jazz and classical are the foundation of pretty much all the other genres. And if you really understand, you know the theory of jazz, and you understand modulations, how it, came about in classical music, it really helps you with being able to do some of these, more, I don't want to call them dumb genres, but, there's so many successes out there based on a 1-6-2-5 progression, where there's really a whole lot more richness to what you're doing. So, how'd you come up with the idea to do Polish composers as like a thing for an album project? I think that's very interesting, you being English.
I'm Polish and British. I've got dual nationality, but I was born in Poland and I grew up in Poland. So on this album, the music that I included, it's mostly by Polish composers, because I was surrounded by Polish music, whether it was traditional music or Chopin, classical music, or some even pop stuff. And so the mutual theme for this album is also, apart from others, Polish composers, including myself in 4 compositions.
Well, so at what point did you move from Poland to England, where you are now? Was that like at a critical time, like high school or college, or what?
I was 32. And in Poland we don't really have history of playing acoustic guitar. It was here in the UK, also America. So I thought that, and it was time that actually internet wasn't so powerful yet. So it wasn't like you could go on YouTube and check somebody who plays acoustic guitar or learn something. So I thought that when I moved to the UK, I'll be closer to all those my guitar heroes who play acoustic guitar, like Tommy Emmanuel, or Al Di Meola, or gypsy jazz guitarists like Birelli Lagran and other guys. So that was the reason I moved.
I see. Well, I watched the chamber orchestra thing with you, and then I saw this other video that was you just kind of, oh yeah, I'm going to play some flamenco. And I'm jealous of not only how fast it was, but how clean it was, because I came at the piano as a drummer that didn't take piano lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always felt like my piano technique was not, up to the standards that it should be. But dude, you're blazing so fast. Is there a secret to that technique? Because it's like, it's unbelievable. People are going to be able to watch these videos, because I'll put them in the YouTube description box. But how did you get such a technique? What's the idea behind that? It's amazing.
Thank you for your kind words. First of all, I use guitar plectrum, so I pick it with the guitar pick. So it's not fingernails like classical guitar. And not many people know that actually the acoustic guitar and guitar plectrum, the history is just 80, 90 years back. Wow. So everything what acoustic guitarists do nowadays. It's something new because we are actually making a new repertoire, and the technique is being born actually, compared to all those classical instruments like violin or piano, where you actually have education like 400 years and everything. So looking from that perspective, the acoustic guitar is probably one of the youngest instruments. And of course, acoustic guitar never been recorded for the full album, for the orchestra, chamber orchestra, and the guitar. So this album that we are talking about, which I'm submitting for a Grammy this year, is I believe it's the first ever album that contains acoustic guitar and the chamber orchestra on every single track. And of course, I'm aware that some of my friends like Tommy Emmanuel or Aldi Meola, they also recorded with the string orchestra, but never ever the full album.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible, this Amadeus Chamber Orchestra of Polish radio. I mean, these radio networks around the world, we have a couple of things in America, NPR and PBS. And I recently was lucky enough to have PBS do an hour special on my jazz trio. And man, these networks are very supportive of people like me that are playing music that might not be understood by every person in the world, and people like you that are trying these new concepts out. Now, your album is called Second Life, which I think is very interesting because maybe 10 years ago or 12 or 15, I had a tech friend who told me, he said, there's this new thing, this virtual reality happening on the internet. I said, what's it called? And he says, it's called Second Life. And I said, how does it work? And I used to work for AOL when the internet was invented. So I was a tech leader back in the early days, but I thought, wow, virtual reality has come to pass. And he became a big proponent of that. But I mean, you've taken what was, I would say, really a life-threatening health challenge and turned it into a second life for yourself. Tell us a little bit about the challenges that you faced.
In 2020, I was hit very badly by COVID-19, and I couldn't breathe. So the ambulance took me to the hospital, and the only way I could survive it was putting me on the respirator. And I remember the doctor said, "We know nothing about this new pandemic thing," and he said, "Good luck, Adam." And in the coma, and it was really, I mean, I had to accept it. I had no other choice. But it was really traumatic period of time for my family, especially after 2 weeks, because after 2 weeks, the doctors from the hospital called my wife and son, and we said, you need to come here to say goodbye to Adam because we believe he won't make it through the next night. But I did. Yeah, so another thing, it was the most traumatic period of time for me after I woke up because I was a vegetable. And there was nobody around, neither doctors or physiotherapists could tell me whether I'll be back to my daily routines and playing the guitar. Actually, most of them, they said, you have to forget about playing the music, especially at the level that you performed before, because there is no way.
The thing that I've seen, because I watch a certain amount of medical shows, my favorite one is called House MD, that stars a British actor named Hugh Laurie, who is
I've watched it.
And you know,
a great TV series.
Yeah, it's a great series. And House would have people that were in a coma and they were vegetables, and you could hear them talking to themselves, but the people around them and the doctors and the families were just looking at this person that was just lifeless sitting there, and you'd hear the person just saying, hey, I'm in here, I'm stuck in here, I'm in my body, I want to play guitar, I want to talk to you. And eventually they came up with a formula, which was blink once for yes and blink twice for no, to communicate. Did they do that with you? How did they reach you when you're in the vegetative state?
Yes, the first time I remember when I opened my eyes after 44 days, there were nurses and doctors, and they were asking me those things. They were showing me some pictures, and they asked me to blink for yes or no at the beginning because I couldn't communicate. I've got the respirator. I don't know if you know how it looks like. It's not just one pipe. It's like from Alien, the movie, the whole thing on the face. And so when they remove it, you have the hole in your throat. You can't talk because when you talk, it goes out through the hole. So the only way you can communicate is to blink your eyes. I have to say that before they put me into a coma, I just spoke to the Almighty and I said, oh, well, if it's time for me, just take me there. But if you want to bring me back, please allow me to fully recover.
I'll tell you what, I sure am glad that you came back, my friend. And, from Planet Mullins to Planet Palma, welcome back. I mean, very glad to have you still here on the earth. And, the album, I think you said it's up for possibly a couple different categories, classical compendium and another one for your Grammy nomination. What's the other category?
The other is classical instrumental solo because actually I'm waiting for the screening committee to decide whether I qualify in this category or that. And everybody says that I should end up in compendium. But the email I received from Grammy says that they are thinking about moving me to instrumental solo. I'm not sure. What do you reckon?
I think being part of the Academy, which I'm happy to have been now a voting member. This is my 23rd year. There's a lot of different opinions and things kind of slide around, like year to year, the categories change and this and that. But if it were me that had any, and I'm not on any of the committees or anything, I'm just a voting member. But when I hear your music, I think instrumental solo, and I would love to sit down and play some jazz with you sometime if we're ever able to do that. Because I know from your classical stuff, you've got to be a monster jazz player and a great rock player, and you're also a great writer. So do you consider yourself, like the original songs that you wrote on your album? How did you juxtapose that you're going to do, okay, I'm doing Chopan and now I'm doing Adam, and it all makes sense? Like, what's your thought process in that?
My thought process was to include the songs that I was surrounded when I was young, because actually the idea of this album was born when I woke up and I couldn't make music anymore. So I was just thinking, what happened in my life where I started being a musician? And so I tried to include the songs that somehow inspired me to pick up a guitar or to beg my mom to buy me one, because back in the 80s, buying a guitar in Poland, it was impossible task to do. There was lack of instruments, and also they were so expensive that, oh yes, it wasn't like you walked into the shop and asked for the guitar, because there was no guitar in the shop. Wow. If they were there, they were so expensive. Anyway, I managed to get one. And those songs they were surrounding me when I was a young guy, when I was a scout or a teenager. But I also thought that because it's a very personal album, I should include a few compositions made by myself, just to add this ingredient on my Polish soul, or my soul as a human being as well. So so there are four tracks of my original compositions, and the rest is by Polish composers, including Frédéric Chopin, of course.
Well, now that is so interesting. And then when you got to England, was it kind of like, one of those moments where you're like, yay, I finally found my people, and I can go hang with all these great players and drummers and singers and keyboard players and bass players? Was it like that for you?
It was. I managed to play with some really awesome guys like Albert Lee, one of the best country guitarists in the world. I was opening a few shows for him. But also I met and I played with all my acoustic guitar heroes like Al Di Meola, like Tommy Emmanuel, like Biray Leglen, or Stockwell Rosenberg. So it was really like the things that I wanted to do, and I accomplished the mission, which was great.
Man, that's good. So this is just kind of a dumb question, but do you have recorded tracks of the orchestra? So if somebody called you to do a solo gig, that you could actually just take like a MP3 and your guitar and go play a solo gig with the orchestra, or is that not something you do?
Yeah, I still have orchestra on its own because what we recorded was a multi-track, so we can remove the guitar, and I'm still using just the orchestra tracks when I need to get ready for the concert with them.
Man, it's just such a wonderful in every way. I mean, sonically, it's really well recorded. Your concept is beautiful. Your story is, and your personal story is incredible because I've done 64 hours of this podcast show so far, and nobody's come on and said, "Well, I got COVID. I looked like Darth Vader for 44 days. I turned into a vegetable, and then I came back, and here I am, man. Congratulations on everything. I mean,
Uh,
I'm sure
I,
you're,
I, I, I I did nothing, but I know that a lot of people were praying and sending me energy, and I think that was what actually brought me back, because the medicine at that time said no way for him to be alive. So I remember a lot of musicians, good friends of mine like Tommy Emmanuel, they did those online prayings, sending me mojo, energy, and it helped me, because from that point everything started going better and better.
man. I mean, it's just incredible. Your whole, everything about you. I'm so glad that I found out about you, so I could feature you and your music on the show. Now, are you going to be touring at all? When are you going to come to America so we can hang out?
Hopefully one day. I've been to America several times. I played in Chicago. I also was invited to the Chet Atkins convention in Nashville several times. So it was beautiful time. But hopefully one day I'll come down with the orchestra and play the songs from a Second Life. That would be great.
That would totally be great. So, and how many albums have you made now? This wasn't your first album, was it? I mean, you were making albums
No,
before.
it wasn't. The previous one is called yeah, the previous one, Adam Palma meets Chopin. That was the first ever album with arrangements of the music of Frédéric Chopin for the solo guitar, acoustic guitar. Because of course we know that there are many transcripts of the music of Frédéric Chopin for the classical guitar,
Right.
and but never for the acoustic guitar. So I recorded. Mostly, I was harmonically and melodically very close, but I changed the grooves. I played in time some of the songs, and that album was, I mean, received very very nicely. Chicago Tribune put it into the 10 most important jazz recordings in 2019, which was a great achievement. And I was about to play a tour around the world with this
Wow.
program, but COVID ruined everything.
Well, I'm thrilled that you're able to squeeze in, getting a chance to talk with me today. And I know my viewers, whether they're Grammy people or just guitar fans, are going to really be excited about your new album. And that's going to have to wrap it up for today. So Adam Palma has been my guest today. His new album is called Second Life. He came on and stayed up late all the way from England just to chat with us today. And I wish you all the luck in the world, man, with what you're doing. I'm a huge fan. I just found out about your music, but you consider me a huge fan of what you're doing. And thanks for sticking around Earth to keep us all entertained.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rob, for having me. Thank you.